Welcome to our latest track review, this time of the 2019 Mazda MX-5 with 26 more horsepower. Let's find out how much quicker it is here at Toronto Motorsports Park. Obviously the big change for the 2019 MX-5 is that bump in power. It's 181 horsepower now versus 155 before. That's a 17% increase for you mathematicians out there. It's also got a broader torque curve. It's only picked up 3 foot-pounds, but it apparently got a much broader torque curve. And it also has a revised final drive, so a slightly higher final drive, which means it'll accelerate a little bit quicker as well. And I can tell you from driving it on the street, it does feel quite a bit quicker. This car is also equipped with a sport package, which means these 17-inch BBS wheels, these big Brembo front brakes, and some rather sexy Recaros inside. I think that's really the core changes to the car. Some other little tweaks, but we're really more concerned about the performance stuff and how quick it's going to go around the racetrack. I've done a 126.84 here in a 155 version, or 155 horsepower version of this car. So we want to see how much quicker it is with that bump in power. Welcome to the inside of the 2019 Mazda MX-5. I don't know why I'm looking over my shoulder while I'm backing up, because it's actually got a rear view camera now, which is pretty sweet. And as I mentioned off the top, it's got a bunch more power, 17% more power than it did before, thanks to lightened pistons, lightened rods, a balanced crankshaft, all of which allows you to rev it to 7,500 RPM, which is 700 or 800 RPM more than before. And I like RPM, so this should really help it be more engaging to drive and be faster around the racetrack. However, these track conditions are not ideal. We had torrential rain this morning. There's still some puddles on the track, and having done some exploratory laps already, it's pretty greasy out here. So to beat that 126.8 I did in perfect dry conditions is going to be very difficult. So this may turn into more of a talk about the overall performance of the car in these conditions as opposed to a glory lap. Either way, I'm going to have me some fun, Miata style, although I've got the roof up, which is kind of the opposite of what you should be doing in an MX-5, but I want you guys to be able to hear me talk. So roof up, windows up, AC off, traction control off, stability control off. I'm just going to take it easy on the warm-up lap here because these are street tires. They're a Bridgestone S001, 280 treadwear, 205s, and the Brembo brakes certainly are going to give me more stopping power, but it's got a street pad on it, so the pad is going to fade in a lap or two, as is typical with any street car here at this racetrack, which is very demanding on the brakes. So I'm going to have to pick my battles here and just try to get one good lap in here and see what we get. Track conditions are looking a little bit better, but you can see we got a huge puddle over there. Not that I should be driving over there, but it gives you an idea that the track's still very green. It's been washed. There's a little sandiness on it, so probably not going to set the world on fire here, I'm sorry to say. But we're going to make the best of it. We're going to have some fun. Really, isn't that what an MX-5 is all about? I mean, these are fun machines. These aren't about ultimate lap times. These are about driving enjoyment, driver engagement, and I know from the previous NDs that that's going to be here. And the extra 30 horsepower is not going to hurt it any, is it? Good brakes. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice little slide. It's so well balanced. You just drive this car with your fingertips. I do love that about a lightweight chassis that's so well balanced. It's got 50-50 weight distribution, so it just feels like it's on a pivot all the time. Down to second gear here. I can just steer it with the throttle. A little oversteer there. It's greasy through here, unfortunately, but we'll just use that to rotate the car a little more. Using all 7,500 RPM. Down into second. Come on, baby, turn. Here we go. Fortunately, in conditions like this, the front tires do lose traction a little bit. So in a car that normally has no understeer to speak of, I am picking up a little bit of push in places, but as you can see, it's also very willing to oversteer if you get a little playful, a little aggressive with the throttle. Just traction challenge right now because the track is so green. Use all those revs. Definitely feel that broader torque band too. Just trying to balance it into turn one here, then back to full throttle. These really are momentum maintenance cars, aren't they? You really want to just keep that momentum rolling. Use the brakes as little as you can, and use this great handling balance to get the car down to the apex. It's also got a great driving position. Pedals, and throttle, and steering wheel, and shifter. It's all just immediately falls to hand. Whoa, that got exciting. Alright, catching up to an S2000 here. Sorry, Honda fanboys, but this is happening. Let's see if he lets me by. That was a little exciting. Here we go. Just ease it out of here. Just trying to get every bit of grip out of these tires that I can in suboptimal conditions. It rotates so well though, man. Like, you could just fling it around with no fear of it doing anything nasty. It's got no bite. It's got no bad habits. What a great chassis. What a great little car. Well, the numbers are in, and we did a 126.8, which happens to be exactly what I did in the 2016 car that we tested during our Mazda MX-5 Cup car video, where we also had a street car out. So we did a 126.8 in that street car and a 121.6, I think, in the Cup car. You can go watch that video. Pete will put a link up there for it. So what does that tell us? Does that mean it's the same speed as the other car? No, it's not. It's definitely faster. It's just the track conditions today are definitely suboptimal. It's still very green out there, as we say in the racing world. The rain was so heavy, the line's just been washed, and even though it's dry now, there's just no grip. So this car would easily go a second, maybe a second and a half faster in the same conditions as the 2016 that we tested. So it's a faster car. I wish the lap times would verify that for us, but you get what you get with Mother Nature. Otherwise, it's a fantastic car to drive. And by the way, we should mention we're going to throw it up on our Speed Academy lap time leaderboard, and it falls in between that DC2 Integra Type R that we tested versus it falls between that and Moose's E36 M3. So that's pretty good company for a car like this to be in. And really, it's an MX-5. It's all about driving enjoyment. It's all about driving engagement, and this car delivers it in spades. It is an absolute blast to drive. It's so rotatable. You'll see from the in-car footage that I can slide it at will wherever I want. It picks up a tiny bit of understeer in those corners that were greasy from these conditions, but this is not a car that you have to worry about understeering, that's for sure. It's an absolute blast to drive. I really appreciate the boost in power. I appreciate the change in final drive, and I love those Recaro seats. So all in all, this thing's a real winner to me. It is a fantastic driver's car. It is a blast to drive. And if I could have had the cameras off and the top down, I would have. All right, let's call this track review a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll have lots more of these coming for you soon. If you want to support our channel, use that subscribe button, give us a like, and maybe even thinking about hitting up our shop, speedacademy.shop, to get some swag, some t-shirts, or even some Go Fast parts. There is quite a lot of body roll, which we know is the case with this chassis. It's a common point of discussion amongst enthusiasts and auto journalists and so on, but at a tight track like this, body roll is not necessarily a bad thing. It means you get a lot of weight transfer onto